Sawubona, my people. Sawubona, my people. So, let me get on here with the Kindle. I've been wanting to start this series. Been itching since I finished the last book, which was The Keys, a Memoir by DJ Khaled. So now I'm going to start on this series, which is The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And so I guess before I start, there it is. Before I start, I think I should talk about like why I'm choosing to read this series. So give me a moment here. I'm unlocking this tablet. Yay, sometimes it doesn't unlock on the first try. So I wanted to show that I have been intending on reading this book for quite some time now. Is this it right here? Yeah, so I downloaded the book on this tablet. I like that rainbow effect. And I was going to read it from here. I really like how cute this size is. Like, this is such a cute e-reader size. This is how, the e-reader should be versus this big. Like, this is... So, kind of need a new Kindle, but, that will come later. So, been intending on reading this book since I found this tablet. And the reason why I want to read this book is because it was one of my grandma's favorite stories, and I don't really know why it was one of her favorite stories, but I do remember, growing up, always going to her house for the holidays and always watching The Wizard of Oz with her. And I remember one time I was really sad and I didn't want to leave her. I didn't want to go. And she gave me her Dorothy doll. It was a porcelain Dorothy doll. And I love that doll. I treated it, I love that doll. So I treated it with such dignity and respect. It was a doll given to me by my grandma. And it got lost because I moved and stuff like that. So don't know what happened to the doll, but that's my proof that this was one of my grandma's favorite stories. And she even had a collectible Dorothy doll that I can't find to this day. So as I've grown up and I've become an adult, I've noticed like synchronicities with this book and the movie and my own personal life, right? And so I just kind of want to see what the book is about. I just recently learned that there's 15 books in the series. I thought maybe it was like 3 books in the series. So I don't know much about the Wizard of Oz other than the first book when they meet the Wizard of Oz. The Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow and Dorothy and Toto. That's all I really know. And so when the movie Wicked came out, it wasn't even registering to me that this was the Wizard of Oz for a moment. It took some time, and I'm sad about that because I missed out on some really good collectible items from like Starbucks. I should have got me a Wicked Starbucks cup, you guys. Like, I'm so mad about that. But it did not register to me that, oh, this is about the Wizard of Oz, but with a twist. So during that time, I was sleeping on the Wicked. That's what it's called. It's called Wicked. I was sleeping on it, but through I can't even talk right now. Through synchronicity, right? I stumbled upon Wicked and I watched it and I loved it. I fell in love with it and I felt like, oh my gosh, Elphaba is me. I'm Elphaba. And it kind of made me wonder, like, did my grandma, like, why did she like that movie? Did she relate to Elphaba? Did she relate to Dorothy? Did she relate to Glinda? Like, yeah, and she's no longer here for me to, like, read the book with her and talk about these things. So this is kind of a way for me to stay connected with my grandma, essentially. So now that I've gotten that out the way, I am going to begin reading. I've read this introduction and I've read chapter 1 multiple times, and I just haven't gotten off the ground with it, right? Also, another reason why I wanted to read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is because I am a certified TEFL teacher, which is teaching English as a foreign language, and I want to encourage literacy. I want to encourage people to read and promote reading and literacy, and I want to help adults and children. I want to help people that do not have confidence in reading and would like to build their confidence in reading, build their confidence in speaking English. And so, yeah, that's another reason I know that this book is, it's not under the copyright laws anymore. So I can get a free copy. You can get a free copy. We could get a free copy and we could read it together and learn English together. So that was another reason why I chose this book, because it's an easily accessible children's storybook that will help you learn how to read and speak English. So I'm going to read the introduction one more time. And I don't know if I'm going to redo this because I'm like, I could do a podcast and I should do a podcast, right? Because I think I have a good sounding voice, right? Maybe not all the time. Maybe by 11 o'clock at night, 11:40 at night, maybe my voice doesn't sound the best, right? But maybe like early in the morning when I get my tea and I got my voice all nice and warmed up and I do some reading, I kind of sound good, you know? So I'm like, do I want to read this out loud or do I just want to read it silently on camera? I don't really know how I want to do this right now. I don't really want it to be a silent video. I feel like that's boring and not engaging, and I don't want you guys to click away. I want you to stay. So let me read the introduction, right? Um, I should have rehearsed this, but I didn't. Folklore, legends, myths, and fairy tales have followed childhood through the ages, for every healthy youngster has a wholesome and instinctive love for stories, fantastic, marvelous, and manifestly unreal. The winged fairies of Grimm and Andersen have brought more happiness to to childish hearts than all other human creations. Yet the old time fairy tale, having served for generations, may now be classed as historical in the children's library. For the time has come for a series of newer wonder tales in which the stereotyped genie, dwarf, and fairy are eliminated, together with all the horrible and blood-curdling incidents devised by their authors to point a fearsome moral to each tale. Modern education includes morality. Therefore, the modern child seeks only entertainment in its wonder tales and gladly dispenses with all disagreeable incident. Having this thought in mind, the story of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was written solely to please children of today. It aspires to be a modernized fairy tale in which the wonderment and joy are retained and the heartaches and nightmares are left out. L. Frank Baum, Chicago, April 1900. It's 2026. So that's a long time ago. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. I don't know how long, till I get tired, till I start messing up, right? So we're on chapter 1, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the Cyclone. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small, for the lumber to build it had to be carried by wagon many miles. There were 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, which made one room. And this room contained a rusty-looking cook stove, a cupboard for the dishes, a table, 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had a big bed in one corner, and Dorothy a little bed in another corner. There was no garret at all, and no cellar except a small hole dug in the ground called a cyclone cellar, where the family could go in case one of those great whirlwinds arose, mighty enough to crush any building in its path. It was reached by a trap door in the middle of the floor, from which a ladder led down into the small dark hole. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the great gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the plowed land into a gray mass with little cracks running through it. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same gray color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rain. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away. And now the house was and now the house was as dull and gray as everything else. Sorry, took me I struggled on that one. I think I'm gonna keep going for a little bit longer. I don't want to keep struggling on camera. When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober gray. They had taken the red from her cheeks and lips, and they were gray also. She was thin and gaunt and never smiled now. When Dorothy was an orphan, first came to her, Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she would scream and press her hand upon her heart whenever Dorothy's merry voice reached her ears. And she still looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh at. Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning till night and did not know what joy was. He was gray also, from his long beard to his rough boots, and he looked stern and solemn and rarely spoke. It was Toto that made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing as gray as her other surroundings. Toto was not gray. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny wee nose. Toto played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly. So I think I'm going to stop right there, and we will come back because it's 13:18, so thanks for watching.